Welcome to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. My special guest today from FairHope Hospice, Kim Shook, Tracey Miller.
Hi there.
Hi ladies, how are you?
Hello. We're pleased to be here.
Thank you for being here today. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot to do, and again, we appreciate it. Let's talk first about responsibilities. I know grief counseling and education.
Yes. And at FairHope Hospice, I coordinate the grief program as well as provide direct grief support to children and their families.
And I am a community education coordinator for FairHope Hospice and palliative care.
Let's talk a little bit about the organization. Okay, people have different. I've had a couple of viewers ask me, well, what do we have to do? Do we have to pay? Talk a little bit about the organization itself.
Okay, so we were formed about 25 years ago or so, and we are a nonprofit hospice, and we provide end-of-life care for those in their time of need when they have a terminal illness.
And then in terms of our grief services, we actually provide an extensive service to the community. For those families whose loved ones die on our hospice service, we will follow them and provide free grief support for a period of 13 months. That is actually a requirement of a hospice benefit service. In addition, we also provide free grief support to anyone who has experienced a loss by a variety of ways. And they can come to us for our adult services as well as our kid-based services.
So how does someone, website, phone number, how would they get a hold of you guys?
Our website is fairhopehospice.org, and our phone number is 740-654-7077.
We're off of Sells Road. Talk a little bit about number of patients you have.
Okay, we are located at 282 Sells Road, and we have the Pickering House, which is a hospice house that has 12 beds, and we take care of patients there for end of life. If they want to pass there, or if they don't want to pass in their home, they can come there and take care of that, those needs of crisis care, pain management, get those things under control, but we do encourage them to stay in their home. But if they don't want to pass in their home, then they can come pass there.
Talk a little bit about the staff that's there. I know you have different people.
We have a variety of staff. I always say that I didn't come to hospice to wear a badge. I came to hospice walking through the Pickering House doors for the first time in 2007 to hold the hand of my loved one. So when you ask me about staff, staff is the main reason that I am at hospice. Because they showed me how to help a loved one at end of life. And my family had always been a heart attack, and I didn't know how to do someone who was dying of cancer. Frequently it's a phone call that someone's died and we're planning a funeral. So staff, we have a wide range of staff, don't we, Kim?
Yes, we have nurses, LPNs, RNs, aides, home health aides, that we take care of our patients. And I call them angels among us. They are some special people that work at FairHope Hospice. The genuine care that they provide people in their most time of need, a difficult time in people's lives. And it's something that we're all going to face, but we walk these families through this journey in this most terrible time, but it's very comforting to know that our staff is there taking care of those in their time of need.
Can the general public contact you, or do they have to go through a doctor? How's that work?
We do need a doctor's order, but yes, when they feel that they have or know that they have a terminal illness, then they can call us and we can come out and do an assessment, but the doctor does need to sign an order for hospice care.
Well, you also have a new facility that just opened up.
Yes, we, again, like I said, I walked through the doors for the first time in 2007, and then in 2010 I was asked to take on a 5-hour-a-week position to help children. That grew to 15 hours a week, that grew to 30 hours a week, and at that time I was an employee with Lancaster City Schools, and so a few years away from retirement, left that to help grow the program. During that same time period, not because of me, but just at the same time period, we've increased awareness of grief services in the community. We have seen a dramatic response from the community wanting support. And so one of our patients who greatly appreciated all that our staff did, and one of her final wishes was to return to her home one more time before she died. And she was in a facility. She made it back to her home, and she had a chance to be there, and then her care warranted coming back back into a facility, but she did make it to her home before she died, and she was a person who gave us our large seed money to start the building, and that is why the building is called the Anita M. Turner Center, in honor of Anita Turner and her estate. And so we have this building that is dedicated for two purposes. One is to provide our free grief support to the community. We have dedicated rooms for the grief support. They all look out onto our wooded area. And then our lower level is where we have administrative support offices, our education offices. And I always say we need those in order to provide the care that we provide to patients and to the community. So they're our unsung heroes that are behind the scenes.
It's a great facility. I was out there
yeah.
for the open house that you guys had. Absolutely great facility.
Yeah. Well, and when we're talking about how do you reach us, we actually, Kim and I are here because we have two different branches. For the patients, we need the physicians to call in.
Right.
For the grief support, I always say it's as easy as a phone call. It is as difficult as a phone call. We do not need a physician referral. We need someone who's calling in with a hurting heart to say, we're ready to get some help. Can you help us? And so that's why I always say it's as easy as a phone call and as hard as a phone call.
You also have some programs coming up. Talk a little bit about that.
And we run various grief support programs. So for our children's program, we do grief camps that we run 3 times a year. And those are a half-day program where you have a time for children to be with children, caregivers to be with caregivers, families to be with families. And what we found when we started our grief camp years ago, we were blessed by the community to be able to do it in 2 locations. First over at the Fox Family Y and then at Fairfield Medical Center. And we're forever grateful that they were there when we started the program. And we saw the response grow. So now we offer it where we do a family camp. So we have a chance for the caregivers to have their own time to talk with one of our social workers, because oftentimes they don't want to share their grief in front of their children. So we have a chance for them to work together while kids meet other kids. So we have those that happen throughout the year. We also do a monthly family fun night. So anybody who has experienced a loss can come and join us. We do family-based activities that are usually music-based, movement-based, or art-based. And then we also have a chance for the caregivers to have their own time to get their support or a place to let their tears flow. Then we also offer individual and family-based support in our grief rooms. As far as our adult programming, again, we have an extensive range of services. We do have a weekly sudden death support group. So if someone has experienced a death that was something that they didn't quite see expected, and sometimes medical illness, even though we know someone's declining, the impact on our heart feels unexpected. Mm-hmm. So they can come for that. That is held Tuesdays at 10:30 at our new center. Then we also have 6-week classes that run throughout the year. And at that same website Kim mentioned, the FairHopeHospice.org.
And you have to register for the classes.
For the classes, we like to have registered because we give you materials, sure, and we like to know what's going on. And again, they can call our main number, that's 740-654-7077 to do
now,
that.
You don't, it's not just Fairfield County, right? You do other areas.
No, and our name, FairHope, is Fairfield, Hocking, and Perry County, and we have an office in Hocking County. And then we also go into the counties of Pickaway and Athens and Logan area, Nelsonville, and all the way up to Canal Winchester, mm-hmm, and over to Pataskala, Pickerington, those areas.
That's a huge area.
Yes.
It is and when you were talking about our staff, our nurses and our aides that go out into the homes, they amaze me with the amount of miles that they travel to go care for someone, yes, and some of the outlying areas that they care for. And I know that they just bring such comfort to those families. And the hard part is we may have had somebody else in our family who's died, but it's the first time this, sure, particular loved one is dying. And so every case is different. Every heartache is different.
Family dynamics, and we have social workers, we have pet therapy, and of course our spiritual care, mm-hmm, which Tracy's, yeah, part of.
Now, when you talk to other locations outside of yours, or do you have different programs that you use together outside of the area that you cover? Do you go to other counties besides what you have and talk to them?
We just go to the counties that we cover, but we try to stay in our counties that we cover. We don't want to overextend ourselves, because if a family needs us, we want to be able, sure, to get there and have the staff to get there.
We've known each other a long time. I mean, we've known each other forever. when you started, what was your first thoughts when you
I
started?
know, when I talked to Rick Snyder,
Yeah,
because he went
yeah.
part-time and did some of the media, and he still writes our articles, the Something More articles, which is stories about people's experiences and things. And I told Rick, I was like, I don't know if I could work there. I would be crying every day, but it's not like that. It's bittersweet, and it's just so special to know that we have this gem in our community, that
Sure.
the service that we provide these people when they're dealing at the most difficult time in their lives.
That's, Tracy, I know you were with the city schools for a long time.
Yes.
And when you started until you are now, I know you talked about going from 5 hours to 15
To 36,
to
you know.
talk a little bit about your experience.
It's been amazing. When I started this, it's one of those where you go into it somewhat naive, and so you learn along the way. And, the best teachers are the patients and the children, in my case, is a lot of it. And we have been blessed that 700 children have trusted us with their heart during this time.
Wow.
And it is a number of children, a variety of reasons of death. But what I have found in common with any type of loss is they want to know that they can trust somebody with their pain. The one message that I always send is that we never have to apologize for tears. Because as soon as we apologize for tears, we're apologizing for love. And we never have to say we're sorry for our love. So one of the messages, whether I'm working in our office, we also have school-based programs that we do with Lancaster City and Fairfield Union Schools, is to let them know it's okay to share those emotions. And so I have so many stories of the children. One that comes to mind is the little girl where the family didn't want her to know that grandma was dying. And I said, please let her know. We can support her. And she came to the Pickering house. And one of my first questions was, do you know what's going on with grandma? And everybody's not wanting to say the D word, as I call it. And she goes, she's dying. I said, you're right, her body is dying. Always separate out a loved one's body from the loved one, because the love is forever, but the body can't be. And so I say, grandma's body is dying. And she said, well, can I see grandma's body? And I said, sure, you can go in and see grandma. She's still in her bed. She's, resting. She won't be talking to you. Always let them know what's going on. And so she goes in, she goes, I have something for grandma. And I said, well, what do you have? She goes, she loves candles. I brought her a candle. She crawls into the bed. Now, this is a little girl that the family was afraid to tell her what was going on. She crawls into the bed, and she goes and she takes this scented candle. She puts it under grandma's nose, and she says, Grandma, I have this candle for you. And when you enter heaven, I'm going to light this candle.
Wow.
Patient starts to decline. Little girl goes out to the movies with her family and other family members. She comes back in, and grandma died while she was gone. And I let her know that that might happen. And she came back in, and I told her what happened, and her reaction it was different than what anybody expected, because as soon as I said, and I'm sorry, but grandma's body has died, she started to clap, and people are looking at me like, why is she clapping? But she clapped, and then she says, I get to light the candle, and grandma can smell it in heaven. Those are the reasons that we let the children know the truth of what is going on. I often say that children will fill in missing pieces of information with incorrect information. So we need to be upfront and honest with them and let them know what's going on. Or we have the young man that we met who was very angry. First year we met him, prior to us meeting him, he destroyed 5 cell phones, which was an expensive habit. If you're really angry, he tended to toss them, And and over time, one of his greatest phrases that he said to myself and Ernie, a social worker I work with, is that we moved him from seeing the world as gray and black to seeing colors again. And this young man is one fantastic artist. For someone to say that he can see color again. And this young man graduated this week and is planning to go to college. Those are the reasons that we always want to go meet the next child who has a set of tears. And so, and that's on the grief side. I know there are many stories with the patients, too.
Oh, I know. We had one that we have a walking path on our, we have 38 acres there at the Pickering House campus area there at FairHope, and there's a gazebo out back and a waterfalls, and we have a butterfly garden, and our walking paths are wide, so that if someone wants to pass in the woods, their hospital bed can go out there, and they can pass in the woods.
And we have had a patient who has done that, and interestingly, one of the patients who, wanted to be in nature, the family came back for a grief support session. I don't think we've ever discussed this story.
So.
And they wanted to meet in the gazebo where their loved one had died. And so they had a chance, because the family wasn't able to do a public funeral, expenses and all, they came together and they had a support session there as a family, and it was almost as if it was a mini memorial service, just, sharing the stories, feeling connected, and to be able to offer that to someone is tremendous.
It's very serene and peaceful there.
Can you ever recall a time, either one of you, that you just, oh, wait a minute, I gotta take a step back here. This is just...
Probably, to be very honest, daily. But it is not because the work is too hard. It's because you hear people trust you with their story. So at a moment I step back, but usually at that moment for me, this is a faith-based call. So when I step back, it's usually I'll walk outside in our serene setting. I'll look out the windows where we have trees behind our grief room, and I usually will pause and pray and be grateful for what we've just heard, and then ask for guidance for the next case. But yeah, I step back some days and be like, okay, I didn't realize how big this was going to be.
Yeah, it's very moving, and it's just a peace that comes over you knowing that we're providing this care for folks that are having a hard time in their lives. And of course, then we have deer on the campus of the FairHope Hospice there, and the beds are situated in the rooms. Their windowsills are low, so they can see this nature out there. And the cardinals come and sit on the windowsills when their loved ones pass. I've heard those stories.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just very beautiful.
And the land was all donated by
Virginia Pickering, and she stayed there the last year of her life, and gave us her money to keep this going.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
And we look at, the number of patients that we have helped. When we do our memorial service, we used to do one memorial service a year for any of our families where a loved one had died, just to give them a chance to have a time to be honored and recognized. But when we realized that we were having to honor 600 to 700 folks a year, we then break it down into smaller.
600 or 700 a year?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So now we do it quarterly.
Yeah. And because we want that to be an intimate time,
Sure.
but that also lets you know that we very much appreciate the trust, and you'll hear me use that word a lot, but that's what it is, because this is an intimate, personal time, and we get one time to do it with these family members. So for them, when we see those number of families that, do care for us, trust us, and, the care that our, nursing staff and our aide staff, the women who are so delighted that their hair is brushed, or our volunteers will come in and cut their hair, or we have people who will do their nails, or the gentlemen that want to talk about cars, and we compare them with a volunteer that can talk about cars, because we have our paid staff, our volunteer staff is tremendous. I started as a volunteer at FairHope.
Yes, we have about 150 volunteers.
Wow.
And they come in, and we have a No One Dies Alone program where if a family they can't be here when their loved one's passing, or the patient doesn't have family, then our volunteers sit with them and comfort them and give them the support that they need.
Are the requirements, you have to be a certain age to be a volunteer?
They want them to be 18, and because they will go through the typical volunteer process in terms of background checks, fingerprints, and all of that. And then we also do a 6-week series of classes so that they are trained in a variety of aspects of where they can volunteer. We use volunteers in our grief program as well as our patient care. We have some folks that are very gifted at sharing at fundraising events, and then one of our big volunteer opportunities is our Trash to Treasure that we do each year.
Yes.
Trash to treasure?
Yes, and that's June 9th and 10th this year.
And it is a tremendous event that over at the fairgrounds, and
Is that on the website too?
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
and what that money, it raises money for patient care. For those who are not able to pay, we will use the funds that are raised, and they raise thousands of dollars. When you look at Trash to Treasure and you look at the small amount per item, we have volunteers who schedule their vacations around this event. so that they can be there to set up days before. We have volunteers who donate storage space throughout the year that we can collect some items.
We have like 4 or 5 garages full, or barns
Wow.
full of
And
items.
this is at the fairground. What building at the fairgrounds is it?
It should be just right inside the gates there,
Okay.
on the right.
Yeah, so the ones that you come in,
buildings.
and so they set up for a few days beforehand, and then they hold that on.
Yes.
We're doing that Friday and Saturday this
Yes.
year, and
Yes.
but
8 to 4 on Friday and 8 to 2 on Saturday.
If somebody wanted to donate, who should they contact?
Just contact the
yes,
FairHope.
yeah, and they'll put them in. But again, when you walk through the doors the first time, sometimes you get focused on, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
If you go through the doors of the Pickering House, or if we send one of our social workers to you to do a consult and looking at how can we provide some care, or if you're coming in for grief support, what we find is people aren't sure how to do this.
Mhm.
And, they're looking for that checklist, that recipe card. And so then we give them, here's what we can do. And then they're always amazed that we can customize it to a
Sure.
point. We have guidelines that we obviously have to follow as any agency,
Mhm.
and, with, third-party payments and things like that. But we really try to find, what does this patient need to feel that they are having the best end-of-life experience they can have. And that, using best and end-of-life in a
Yes.
sentence together is a little hard, but that's what we want it
And
to
when
be.
we say the best experience with this tragic time in their life that they're dealing with, we try to celebrate the life of that's our tagline, is that we celebrate life, because we want to make that the best experience and those memorable moments of the last days of their loved one.
If someone wants to come through, should they set up an appointment or just walk in, or what's the easiest
Just
thing
give us
to
a
do?
call.
Yeah, give us a call, make
Yeah.
sure that if they want to see a tour of the Pickering House as well as our grief facility, they are more than welcome to do that. People can walk in, but we always want to make sure that we have someone there who can answer all of their questions. Our volunteers can give you a general overview of the facility, but in terms of some of the particulars, in terms of referrals and all of that process, we like to have a
Yes.
staff person available to answer
You
that.
mentioned third-party payments and all those things. No one's ever turned away.
No.
I mean, they absolutely,
We will bill insurance if they have insurance. We will bill Medicare, Medicaid if they have that. If not, we will use the funds that have been donated to us, funds that are raised through different events such as the Trash to Treasure, to make sure that their medical care and their prescriptions are paid for. So
We get their equipment that they need,
Mhm.
hospital bed, all of those things.
yeah, and so we never want anybody to feel that they are not able to be assisted, at end of life.
Yeah.
And Kim and I, while we can tell the story, our medical directors and our nurses, they all handle the what would be appropriate to the referral form, so we can't answer those questions, but we do know.
Who is the medical director?
We have a variety of them.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
we have
Okay.
Dr. Brian Varney.
Oh, sure.
Dr. Boyne,
Okay. There's
and
probably-
Dr. Barbara Singer, and then we have, of course, Joyce Cox, our
Mm-hmm.
nurse practitioner, and then Denise Bowers, our CEO.
Yes,
And then we
absolutely.
also have Gordon Snyder.
Yes.
Mhm. Yep.
He is, Dr. Snyder is with us
Yes.
as well. And Dr. Murray still assists
Yes,
with some
sure is.
piece. So we have a variety
It's
of,
a pretty good crew.
Yes.
yeah. And so,
Board of
and what we
directors.
like about our medical directors is they all have a variety of backgrounds, and they also have a variety of specialties.
Mhm.
So we have people who are more equipped to, having worked in an emergency background, to
Sure.
hospice care. The other part that we always have to compliment our medical directors on is they have gone and sought out additional certification in becoming a hospice certified physician. And so I think that speaks to their passion to help patients at end of life.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
thought if you're just a doctor, you were.
You're just a doctor, yeah. And, we
Wow.
shouldn't say just a
No, I
doctor.
know, I
like-
know, yeah.
But yes, they have gone and done additional testing, certification, training to become a hospice certified physician. And, yeah, so it's impressive what people do to be dedicated to the care that is out there.
And
We
we don't
have-
want to forget our palliative care program,
Oh, yeah.
too. I want to talk about that just a tiny bit.
We have about 2 minutes left.
Yes, so that's for those people that have been diagnosed with a terminal illness of 2 to 3 years, terminal illness. So COPD, CHF, those kind of things where they are having trouble getting to the physician's office, and we can send our nurse in once a month and give them support there, and just be an extra set of eyes and ears too.
Oh,
So I don't
absolutely.
want to forget that.
Yeah,
palliative care.
that's, and again, the same phone number,
Yes.
websites they can
Yes.
go
There's
to.
no
and-
charge
Yeah.
for that.
And that program has grown dramatically as well. When we talked about our new center and we have some of the support offices, one of the offices that is down in that lower level is our palliative care program that Joyce Cox oversees with her staff as well. So what we have seen is, since we opened the Pickering House, 10 years ago, tremendous growth in the community wanting the service and the types of services that we provide, and continuing to evolve and to change.
That's great.
That is the first-class organization, no doubt
Yeah.
about it. No doubt about it. Now, when you talk palliative care, how many people were involved in that?
We have 3
Patient-wise?
palliative nurses,
Okay.
but I would say probably a couple hundred patients.
Yeah,
Yes.
and so,
Wow.
On
and
palliative.
yeah, and just checking because we know that any of our nursing staff, our medical staff, they are highly trained on comfort care medicines to alleviate pain, discomfort, to facilitate easier breathing. So we like them to just kind of keep an eye on our palliative program. It's my understanding we'll also coordinate with physicians. They don't do the prescribing. But they just let people know, hey, we have an expertise. Much like if someone calls me and just wants some information about grief, we'll share information.
One more time, phone number, websites people can go to?
740-654-7077 or FairHopeHospice.org.
Fantastic. Ladies, it's been great having you on.
Thank
We
you
will
so
get
much.
you back on. We will get you back on and
Thank
give
you.
us updates and
We
again.
would love to tell the story.
Oh, absolutely. Tracy Miller, who is the Family Grief Support Coordinator, Kim Shook, who is the Community Education Coordinator. Appreciate you guys coming on.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Lancaster Perspective. I'm Mike Miller. And remember, until we meet again, let's make a difference.